This is Covering the Spread, part of the FanDuel Podcast Network.
Not to put any pressure on the Bears and the Patriots for tonight, but I need a mouthwash after a wild, disgusting, gross Sunday across the board. A lot of key injuries that ruined some daily fantasy lineups. Just kind of a bummer of a day overall. So I gotta say, Mac Jones, Justin Fields, let's put on a show, buddy. We need a good elixir to cleanse our mouths of this past week 7. We're going to break down Monday Night Football between the Bears and the Patriots today, getting Ryan Williams' read on that game and his favorite bets across the board over at FanDuel Sportsbook. This is Covering the Spread right here on the FanDuel Podcast Network and numberFire.com. My name is Jim Sadas. I am a senior writer and analyst for numberFire.com, joined here once again by Ryan Williams. Check him out on Twitter at RyanAlexander_W. And Ryan, week 7, at least for me, was one to forget. So I'm ready to turn the page to week 8 or hopefully close things on a high note here. How are you doing today, though?
Yeah, I mean, it was rough for me too. Expected the Bengals passing game to be a lot more popular than they were. I was all in on Joe Mixon last week, who obviously was the most popular piece in that game. And, as soon as you start seeing Joe Burrow torch the slate against the Atlanta Falcons, who had been the cover darlings, you knew that it was going to be a rough day. So I'm right there with you, just trying to turn the page on week 8. We do that tonight with my hometown team and the New England Patriots, who pretty much have their number. So this should be a fun one.
Yeah, I was driving home from a wedding yesterday and I had my phone for navigation open and I was not paying attention to it, but I happened to see a message come through via Slack from either Brandon Gadula or JJ Zachariason saying Amon-Ra St. Brown to the injury tent. I was like, oh boy. Gonna be one of those days. So I am fully ready to look ahead. We'll break down our read on this Bears-Patriots game and much more. Yardage props, touchdown props over at FanDuel to get you set to win some money here at the end of week number 8. But first, or week 7, I should say. Yeah, I'd like to forget week 7 anyway. Before that, though, a reminder to make sure you are subscribed to Covering the Spread wherever you get your podcast. We, of course, have daily shows here Monday through Friday breaking down NFL, talk some MLB tomorrow to preview the World Series between the Astros and the Phillies. And we'll also have plenty of other stuff here. College football on the way on Wednesday, all right here in this same feed. To get those as they go live, make sure you are subscribed to Covering the Spread wherever you get your podcasts. NBA season is underway, and now it's the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's up to $1,000 back in free bets if your first bet doesn't win. FanDuel has all your favorite bets from the money line to point spreads to player props. You can even combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same-game parlay. Plus, with live betting, you'll get updated odds on games that have already started. The FanDuel Sportsbook app is safe, secure, and super easy to use. So download FanDuel today to get your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. Make every moment more this season with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342. In Connecticut, 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat. In Indiana, 1-800-9-WITH-IT. In Kansas, 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com. In Louisiana, 1-877-770-STOP. In New York, 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Tennessee, call the Red Line at 1-800-889-9789. In Wyoming, 1-800-522-4700 or in West Virginia, 1-800-GAMBLER.net. Let's dig in now to the Bears at the Patriots. We'll talk about the traditional markets, the spread, the money line, the total in just 1 second. But first, overall, Ryan, I want to get your top-down view of this game. What are you thinking going into this one between the Bears and the Patriots?
I'm thinking, how is the over still at 40.5 or over under line set at 40.5? This game just feels gross, especially with Mac Jones starting. I mean, Mac Jones is really the key here for me. And I mean, why it's weird for me to take the 8.5 here. I mean, I don't see how Chicago has a chance being in this game on Monday Night Football in primetime in Foxborough. It just doesn't line up. But I mean, when you're looking at this number at 8.5, feels weird. Mac Jones has not looked great. Bailey Zappi has been the better quarterback this year. The numbers have proved that thus far, and he will be on the bench. So it worries me to go the Patriots side here on that number because there could be some weird stuff happening. But Bill Belichick in his career, now granted that was the Tom Brady era, but he has absolutely, pretty much he's won every game against this team since 2002. Not covered at this big of a number, except for, later on the past 3 games. They've absolutely annihilated the Bears, but there have been some close ones in the past. Weird things can happen. This is totally on Justin Fields' shoulders, though. I mean, the defense can come out and they can limit them, but the offense has to put up points. The Bears have not had a propensity to do that. We just saw them on a Thursday night football game, probably one of the ugliest games that we'll see all season. So it just feels weird all around, Jim. I don't really have a read on where I would want to lean on this game, but I definitely want to take the under here just with the way these two teams play.
Yeah, total is 40.5, as you mentioned, over FanDuel Sportsbook right now. The under on 40.5 is -114. And I've got a bit of a disagreement in my numbers here, Ryan. I've got the 2 models, as we've discussed. The traditional model, the one that I use, the one that I lean on, says Patriots by 8.55. So about as efficient of a market as it could possibly be. It thinks this is an appropriate line. The 2022 only model, which has no priors in it, so it doesn't know, what I thought about the Bears, the Patriots coming in, has New England by 6.3 points. So a little bit tighter, a little bit feistier on the Bears side of things. I'm not betting that. I think this is a pretty firm stay away from me in that regard. And I think that if we were to expect the Patriots to keep the same game plan they had the past 2 weeks, where they were decently run heavy. They leaned on Ramondre Stevenson a lot. I think I could see myself going towards the under because we know the Bears will be doing that as well. But I'm not really sure what we'll see here because there were times when they were trying to open things up with Mac Jones, letting him throw deep a bit more. That's going to play into a discussion we'll have later on a yardage prop that I'm intrigued by. But I think to me, it's kind of a stay away in the traditional markets. It seems pretty efficient in both regards. And I don't have a firm grasp on the Patriots. I think I know what the Bears will do, but the Patriots side is so hard for me, mostly because things are so in flux as it goes from Zappi now back to Mac Jones. Now, the other thing that's in flux is both these backfields. They're both weird right now. Damian Harris is back, got in full practices throughout this week. He's back. On the Bears side, they've said they're going to ride the hot hand. So we've seen Khalil Herbert play pretty well this year, but David Montgomery is not a bad running back. So that's tough too. When you're looking at these backfields, Ryan, uncertainty can be bad because it means that we don't really know what's going to happen, but it also means that sportsbooks probably don't know either. And there's a bit more potential for inefficiency in those markets. So when you look at the backfield props here for the Patriots and the Bears, anything you like, or is this a stay away for you?
No, I think that there's some merit here on both sides. I mean, let's talk about the Bears, who said they're going to ride the hot hand at running back. I mean, the numbers aren't really showing that for Khalil Herbert at this time. You can't really see Khalil Herbert's prop lines, but just him being an anytime touchdown scorer, almost 4 times less likely is what the sportsbook is saying, with Montgomery at +170, and then you look at Khalil Herbert as +550. Khalil Herbert's been the most explosive back all season long. You saw it in that Thursday night game against Washington. They come out, bring him, team not prepared for him. He goes off, he breaks off a large run. We've seen that multiple times this season already. I would like Montgomery to still, be involved in the passing game. I would love to see what his receiving prop ends up. Even his receiving line, I think, would probably be too low for the way that they're going to have to play in this game. I mean, they're not going to be able to run against this team. They know that Justin Fields really can't throw. They'll probably force them to beat him, but on first and second down, I expect them to stack the box. So receiving props is where I would lean. On the Patriots side of the ball, how can we not go Ramondre Stevenson here? I mean, any prop that he's getting, I think his rushing was 63.5 or something around that number, a 60 something, way too low. Damian Harris is coming back. This will be his first game back. Sure, I think he'll still be involved, but this could just be, a perfect matchup to just give Stevenson, 20 plus touches, let him ride it out. I think any prop on him is definitely favorable because they've looked for opportunities to give the keys over to this offense with Damian Harris missing a couple games this year already. Stevenson has stepped up to the plate. This is something that we expected coming into the season. Even his rushing and receiving, I think, is interesting because this was supposed to be the pass catching back when James White was hurt earlier this year in the preseason. So love Stevenson tonight.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with you where I'd wait until Stevenson's rushing plus receiving yardage prop is up because it's not currently up at FanDuel. The rushing yardage number is 63.5. And with that number, you're kind of assuming that he gets a really like a workload increase from what he was at when Harris was healthy earlier on this year. So I think that I'd rather, like you said, hold off until the rushing plus receiving number is up because it allows you multiple paths to getting there. Now with Khalil Herbert, I want to ask you this because I think that my overall thought in the situation is that the will ride the hot hand mindset makes both guys more volatile, and more volatile means you can kind of consider more volatile / high upside markets. So right now over at FanDuel, they do have a Khalil Herbert alt rushing market up. His baseline is 32.5. And like, you know, it's hard to get a read on that with their saying that, you know, like they said, they're going to stack the box. They're going to ride the hot hand. The hot hand could wind up being Montgomery. We don't know. I think that if I want to bet Herbert, I'd want to look into that alt market because right now 40 plus rushing yards plus 138, 50 plus rushing yards plus 260. I wouldn't want to go beyond that because I think this will still be a split, but I think that's probably where you want to look. Like this Bears rushing offense, I know they've been like very rush heavy, but they've also been pretty good. They've been efficient as a rushing offense so far. So if he does wind up getting even like 1B kind of work, I could see him getting towards 50 or so. So I think that if you want to buy into Herbert, that's probably where I'd be looking is the alternate market. Are you willing to do that with Herbert, or is it more so just taking the value in that touchdown prop, the best route for him, for you buying into him?
Yeah, I mean the touchdown's pretty ugly too when you look at the Bears implied team total and how they're going to get points. I just think that, you know, if you're even remotely thinking that this team has a chance to score, it's probably, you know, going to come through the running back if they get a short and goal situation there. And just, you know, if they're riding the hot hand, I just like the odds better than Herbert. I will say, though, that the yardage, it seems about fair if you're going alt line around 40, 50. I mean, even, you know, these are, you know, really better running backs. But the past two games, you're looking at, you know, guys like Jamal Williams and Nick Chubb getting for 50 yards against this team where they're normally able to put up a hundo. But, you know, 50 yards seems feasible in a matchup when you're thinking, you know, okay, how many possessions are they going to get? What are they going to be forced to do if they just, you know, try and get going? Hopefully you can rip off some runs of, you know, 8+ yards to really make you feel good about that number.
Yeah, I think that you would probably need some upside kind of runs there, kind of as you alluded to at some point in order to get to that number. But I think that with Herbert, that's still a viable option for sure. Now let's dig into the passing game outlooks here because we know the Bears, they want to be run heavy. The Patriots have kind of been back and forth. I don't know if they really have like an identity yet. They've been interesting the past couple weeks, but like, I'm not sure what their identity is on offense. So when you look at the passing yardage props, anything standing out to you there?
Yeah, I think that, well, on the Patriots side, I know they're dealing with some injuries. I was looking for Tyquan Thornton, who seemed to got going last week, and what his prop line would be. I think that's interesting. But also, we got to talk about the kid Jacoby Myers, who, you know, Mac Jones in their time together has had a propensity to find this guy at a high rate. So any number on Jacoby Myers, I would love to get to tonight. I think he's coming in 51.5. That seems fair with what they have going on in the wide receiver core. So absolutely love that. I think on the other side, I know people will talk about Darnell Mooney, 45.5. They have nothing to do but throw, but it still makes me a little bit worried. I mean, Justin and him just haven't been on the same page at all this year. I will say that Mooney is their best bet to try and get down the field. But look at Equinemius St. Brown. He comes in at 13.5. That feels absolutely way too low for me. His route participation has actually gone up. I know he got blanked last week, didn't even, you know, get a target, but no Amir Smith-Marset on this team anymore. I think, you know, he's shown a propensity to, be able to go up and get the ball when Justin Fields has been able to find somebody. He's had some decent games already this season. 13.5 kind of feels low, knowing what the state of the affairs might be for the Bears in this game if they're, trailing from behind for a majority of this game.
I think that's a really good shout out with Equanimeous St. Brown with that number. He has gone over that number in 4 out of 6 games, despite having no more than 2 receptions in any game. Equanimeous St. Brown, like you said, no targets last week, but overall has had an okay role. He's, running a lot of routes at least, does get some deep work as well. You mentioned Noah Smith-Marset after his fumble against Minnesota as well. So I think that Equanimeous St. Brown is interesting, but you actually touched on the one that I think my favorite bet of this game is Jacoby Myers, 51.5 receiving yards. I think that's a situation where I actually would be okay taking an over there. He's had a very good role in his healthy games so far this year. If we look at the 4 games that Myers has played, now 2 of those were with Bailey Zappi versus 2 with Mac Jones, but a 26.7% target share for Myers in those games. Been getting some deep work, not a ton, like he's not a huge downfield guy, but he's been getting enough work where I feel like I'm actually pretty intrigued by that number. And Myers is someone who I've always felt is a little bit like the market tends to be higher at him than I am. But here I actually think that I'm higher. He's gone over this number in all 4 games so far. He's cleared it by like double twice effectively. So I think that if I want to bet this game, if you're looking for action in this game, I think that Jacoby Myers over 51.5 is my preferred route for doing so. I think there is a decent amount of value there based on the way he's been used this year, based on the fact that Mac Jones has been throwing it deep a bit more often than he used to. I think those stars align pretty well. Now, you mentioned Tyquan Thornton being back. That does kind of throw a wrench into it because we haven't seen this like conflict, this like convergence of healthy bodies with Tyquan Thornton, Mac Jones, and Jacoby Myers all healthy at the same time, and Nelson Aguilar could play too. He got a limited practice on Saturday, so he could be good to go as well. We could have a lot of healthy bodies, which makes it a little bit more concerning with Myers, but I do still think there's value there over 51.5 for Jacoby. Now you talked about Khalil Herbert, plus 550 anytime touchdown. Is that one you're looking to bet? Is that your favorite prop, or what are you seeing in the touchdown market for tonight, if anything at all?
Yeah, I mean it's slim pickings. I think Ramondre, he choose that 150 the favorite, but I mean I feel like that's even still a good bet to lay down if you really are looking for surefire. Or we don't want to say surefire. We never Correct. Say surefire in betting, but if you want to feel good about a prop that you have going in and you're willing to lay the money down on that, I think that's interesting. 2-1 on Jacoby Myers to score a touchdown. This guy, was known for never scoring a touchdown, never being able to find pay dirt, and he's had some success already this year with Mac Jones. I think that's interesting. I think my favorite bet of the night in general. This pains me to say as a Bears fan, but the New England defense is 5-1 to score a touchdown, which you're gonna get a shot at that on special teams as well too. 3 straight games for New England against the Bears, they have scored a defense or special teams touchdown in these games. So if you're ready to cook with some gas there, New England D, take a shot on them tonight to get in the end zone.
No love for the Bears defense at 7-1. Not feeling it.
I mean, that's the prop isn't out yet, but I will be heavily waiting for them to release Mac Jones interception prop line, and it should be minus money because he's thrown one in every start that he's had so far this year. Right. And we know he kind of has that mentality of forcing throws. So I mean that should be fairly. I would imagine it should open at like minus 114 ish around there. If it's anything lower, I will be hammering that.
Yeah, I was talking about how he was throwing it more often this year, and that's a good thing in general because you can get chunk gains better, but it also does lead to more interceptions. There is a give and take effect there. So we're looking at the Mac Jones interception props once they come up, but I think the New England defense won 5-1. Pretty interesting for sure. They've been playing very good football, and if you assume that this game, like you said, does lean towards the Patriots at minus 8.5, that would be conducive to a negative game script. Putting the Bears situation where they have to drop back, that leads to situations where it could lead to upside plays of that nature. All righty, that is all that we have here for today for this Monday Night Football preview. I think this game I hope it exceeds expectations. That's all I got. I mean, I need to go out on a high note for this week because it's been a rough one for sure. So we'll see how things play out. But either way, it's football. I can't complain that much. I'll be missing this game in March. So I guess we'll enjoy it while it is here for today. That is all that we have here for today on this Monday Night Football preview. But as I mentioned, we are back here once again Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week to get you set for more MLB, NFL, college football action all right here on Covering the Spread. Check out Ryan on Twitter at RyanAlexander_W. Ryan, good luck to your Bears tonight. I hope that things go well for you. Hope you get to enjoy the game. We'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah, it'll be a fun one, I hope. But yeah, talk to you soon, Jim. Good luck, everybody. Get those bets in tonight.
Yep. Enjoy the game, Ryan. And we'll talk to you again later on this week. I'm on Twitter at JimSannes, JimSannes. You can also follow the FanDuel Podcast Network at FanDuel Podcast. Big thank you to everyone for tuning in. Good luck to you with your NFL bets for tonight. We'll talk to you once again tomorrow to talk about our first look at NFL week number 8. This has been Covering the Spread right here on the FanDuel Podcast Network.